17.2 Price and Output Decision. This chapter covers price and output determination in short run and long run under monopolistic competition, monopoly versus perfect competition, monopolistic competition, and efficiency. Price and output determination in the short run and long run under monopolistic competition. To explain how a monopolistic competitor decides on its price and output, we initially assume that each firm in the industry is producing a specific differentiated product and engaging in a particular amount of advertising. Demand curve in monopolistic competition. The demand curve faced by a monopolistically competitive seller is highly but not perfectly elastic. It is precisely this feature that distinguishes monopolistic competition from both pure monopoly and pure competition. The monopolistic competitor's demand is more elastic than the demand faced by a pure monopolist because the monopolistically competitive seller has many competitors producing closely substitutable goods. The pure monopolist has no rivals at all. Yet, for two reasons, the monopolistic competitor's demand is not perfectly elastic like that of the pure competitor. First, the monopolistic competitor has fewer rivals. Second, its products are differentiated, so they are not perfect substitutes. The price elasticity of demand faced by the monopolistically competitive firm depends on the number of rivals and the degree of product differentiation. The larger the number of rivals and the weaker the product differentiation, the greater the price elasticity of each seller's demand, that is, closer monopolistic competition will be to pure competition. Short run profit or loss. In the short run, monopolistically competitive firm maximize profit or minimize loss using exactly the same strategy as pure competitors and monopolists. They produce a level of output at which marginal revenue equals marginal cost, MR is equal to MC. Thus, a monopolistically competitive firm in figure produces output Q1 where MR is equal to MC as shown by demand curve D1. It then can charge price P1. It realizes an economic profit shown by the green area P1 minus A1 times Q1. But with less favorable demand or cost, the firm may incur a loss in the short run. We show this possibility where the firm's best strategy is to minimize its loss. It does so by producing output Q2 where MR is equal to MC and as determined by demand curve D2 by charging price P2. Because price P2 is less than average total cost A2, the firm incurs a per unit loss of A2 minus P2 and a total loss represented as a red area A2 minus P2 times Q2. The long run, only a normal profit. In the long run, firms will enter a profitable monopolistically competitive industry and leave an unprofitable one. So, a monopolistic competitor will earn only a normal profit in the long run, or in other words, will only break even. Profits firms enter. In the case of short run profit, economic profits attract new rivals because entry to the industry is relatively easy. As new firms enter, the demand curve faced by the typical firms shift to the left, because each firm has a smaller share of total demand and now faces a larger number of close substitute products. This decline in the firm's demand reduces its economic profit. When entry of new firms has reduced demand to the extent that demand curve is tangent to the average total cost curve at the profit maximizing output, the firm is just making a normal profit. With the economic profit gone, there is no further incentive for additional firms to enter. Figure shows a situation in which monopolist competitor was earning a profit with its original perceived demand curve DO. The intersection of the marginal revenue curve MRO and the marginal cost curve MC occurs at point S corresponding to quantity QO, which is associated on a demand curve at point T with price PO. The combination of price PO and quantity QO lies above the average to cost curve, which shows that the firm is earning positive economic profit. Unlike a monopoly with its high barriers to entry, a monopolistically competitive firm with positive economic profits will attract competition. When another competitor enters the market, the original firm's perceived demand curve shifts to the left from D0 to D1 and associated marginal revenue curve shifts to MRO to MR1. The new profit maximizing output is Q1 because the intersection of the MR1 and MC now occurs at point U. Moving vertically up from that quantity on the new demand curve, the optimal price is at P1. The long run equilibrium is shown in the figure at point Y, where the firm's perceived demand curve touches the average cost curve. When price is equal to average cost, economic profits are zero. Losses firms exit. Firms leave when the industry suffers short-run losses, as in some firms will exit in the long run. Faced with fewer substitute products and blessed with an expanded share of total demand, the surviving firms will see their demand curve shift to the right or rise as to D3. Their losses will disappear and give way to normal profits. At P1 QO, the firm is losing money. If you follow the dotted line above QO, you can see that average cost is above price. Losses induce firms to leave the industry. When they do, demand for the original firm rises to D1, where once again the firm is earning zero economic profit. Some complications in real world. Some firms may achieve sufficient product differentiation such that other firms cannot duplicate them even over time. One hotel in a major city may have the best location relative to business and tourist activities, or a firm may have developed a well known brand name that gives it a slight but very long lasting advantage over imitators. Such firms may have sufficient monopoly power to realize modest economic profits even in the long run. Entry to some industries populated by small firms is not as free in reality as it is in theory. Because of product differentiation, financial barriers to entry are likely to be greater than they would be if the product were standardized. This suggests some monopoly power with some economic profits continuing even in the long run. Monopoly versus perfect competition. Figure compares perfect competition and monopolistic competition in the long run and highlights two key differences: excess capacity, markup, and marginal cost. Efficient scale. A firm's efficient scale is the quantity at which average total cost is a minimum, the quantity at the bottom of the U shaped ATC curve. A firm's excess capacity is the amount by which its efficient scale exceeds the quantity it produces. In the long run, perfectly competitive firms produce at the efficient scale. In panel B, the perfectly competitive firm produces at the bottom of the U shaped ATC curve. That is, each firm produces the quantity at which average total cost is minimized, the minimum cost output. As a consequence, the total cost of industry output is also minimized. Under monopolistic competition, in panel A, firm produces on the downward sloping part of the U-shaped ATC curve. It produces less than the quantity that would minimize average total cost. This failure to produce enough to minimize average total cost is sometimes described as the excess capacity issue. So the total cost of industry output is not minimized in the case of monopolistically competitive industry. Markup and marginal cost. A firm's markup is the amount by which its price exceeds marginal cost. First, in the case of perfectly competitive firm, in panel B, the price received by the firm at the profit maximizing quantity is equal to firm's marginal cost of production, P is equal to MC. By contrast, the profit maximizing quantity chosen by the monopolistically competitive firm in panel A, the price is higher than marginal cost of production, P exceeds MC. This difference translates into a difference in the attitude of firms towards consumers. A wheat farmer who can sell as much wheat as he likes at the going market price would not get particularly excited if you offered to buy some more wheat at the market price, since he has no desire to produce more at that price and can sell the wheat to someone else. You are not doing him a favor. But if you decide to fill up your tank at Jamil's gas station rather than at Katie's, you're doing Jamil a favor. He's not willing to cut his price to get more customers. He's already made the best of that trade off. But if he gets a few more customers than he expected at the posted price, that's good news. An additional sale at the posted price increases its revenue more than it increases its cost because the posted price exceeds marginal cost. The fact that monopolistic competitors, unlike perfect competitors, want to sell more at the going price is crucial to understanding why they engage in activities like advertising that help increase sales. Monopolistic competition and efficiency. A monopolistic competition is efficient as there are no significant barriers to entry, therefore, markets are relatively contestable. Differentiation creates diversity, choice, and utility. But a firm in monopolistic competition is allocatively and productively inefficient in long run. The long run result of entry and exit in a perfectly competitive market is that all firms end up selling at the price level determined by the lowest point on the average cost curve. This outcome is why perfect competition displays productive efficiency. Goods are being produced at the lowest possible average cost. However, in monopolistic competition, the end results of entry and exit is that firms end up with a price that lies on the downward sloping portion of the average cost curve, not at the very bottom of the AC curve. Thus, monopolistic competition will not be productively efficient. In a perfectly competitive market, each firm produces at a quantity where price is set equal to marginal cost, P is equal to MC, both in the short run and in the long run. This outcome is why perfect competition displays allocative efficiency. The social benefits of additional production, as measured by the marginal benefit, which is the same as the price, equal the marginal cost to society of that production. In a monopolistically competitive market, the rule for maximizing profit is set to MR is equal to MC, and price is higher than marginal revenue, not equal to it, because the demand curve is downward sloping. P is greater than MC. Because price exceeds marginal cost, monopolistic competition creates deadweight loss, just like monopoly. A monopolistically competitive firm does not produce more, which means that society loses the net benefit of those extra units. Therefore, it is not allocatively efficient. Monopolistic competitive firms achieve neither productive nor allocative efficiency. The greater the differentiation of the products, the greater the inefficiency. However, monopolistic competition creates a greater variety of products and services, and this greater diversity is more likely to satisfy consumer taste, which leads to a more desirable market.